how to remove yourself from the day-to-day business and grow your business and grow your franchise. The business can run and grow without your constant presence. We focus too much on doing every single task. The fact is, not every single task is equally important. We want to focus on high leverage, high value tasks, and we want to avoid low leverage tasks and delegate those. Hey everyone, welcome to Courtside Conversations. My name's Emile, founder and owner of Little Boomers Basketball, and it's a pleasure to be your host today. Wherever you're watching today's episode, I hope you're having a booming day, and yes, the pun is intended. My journey to entrepreneurship started on May 1st, 2018 when I launched my first basketball program with 9 kids enrolled. Today, thousands of kids across Australia are thriving in our programs, all thanks to the commitment and passion of our incredible franchisees. This podcast is here to give you real, straightforward, no BS insights into business, entrepreneurship, and what it's like to own a franchise. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into today's Zoom. Now, this one is going to be short but impactful. There's literally only about 10 slides. And I firstly wanted to say, guys, I really appreciate you jumping on and eager to learn. I can see here that it's the new faces, Carla, Charles, and Joachim. So it's really good to see you guys eager and soaking up all this information. It goes to show me that you're here to get better and you're here to learn. Even though a lot of this content here is going to apply to you guys in the future, it shows me that you're dedicated and ready to go. So I salute you for being here today. I'm going to make sure you guys get value from today. Now, topic of today's discussion is how to remove yourself from the day-to-day business and grow your business and grow your franchise. Now, Greg, this is probably going to apply to you a lot as well because you've been a franchise owner for a year. So this might be really relevant to you. Hopefully you can find some action tips here. And for everybody else, I think you guys are going to find really good value as you grow your franchise, especially considering Joe, Charles, and Carla, you're all planning to launch your franchise in term 3. So let's get into it. Team, what I'm going to do, this is the first time I've done these live training workshops. So at the end, I'm going to get your feedback on how it was. I'd love for you guys to give me feedback on what you thought of it and how we can improve and maybe even what the next one's going to be about. So it's the first time we've done this. We do got our once a month mandatory ones on Monday. This is more of an optional workshop to get us going. So the first thing I want to establish, guys, is what does removing yourself from the business mean? This is how I define removing yourself from the business. The business can run and grow without your constant presence. That's the key here. It can run, but not only run, but also grow without your constant presence. And that's what we're going to focus on today. How your business can run and grow without your constant presence. And the other thing I wanted to mention, I touched on this before, in our franchise, we're all at different stages of the business. Right? 3 of you guys are planning to launch in term 3. So this is good future information for how you can prepare yourself to make your franchise run without you. Greg is at a different stage. He's coming up to 100 members, coming up to a year. A lot of this information might be relevant to Greg. So just remember, you guys are at different stages of the business. The goal here is to know what stage you're at and how you can get to the next one. Does that make sense, team? Cool. Are we all good on understanding what I mean by removing yourself from the business? It's making sure it can run and grow without your constant presence. Now, guys, I want to tell you a funny story. You might laugh at this. You probably might not know that it's true. I was sharing this story with Greg the other day. So when I started in 2018, I was in the same shoes as you guys. I was finding my venue. I was coaching all my classes. I was opening up more classes. I had this great venue that I think you all have been at, or except Joe, Morris Yema Indoor Sports Centre. And I was running into a problem. As I was expanding classes, I was doing a billion things. I was trying to respond to parents' emails. I was taking inbounding phone calls. I was trying to find coaches. I was running classes every day. I was waking up Saturday morning, Sunday morning, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday classes. And I had this belief I got to do everything. I got to coach, and my parents, because I was starting to grow my client base. If I was to step down from coaching, the parents wouldn't re-enroll every single term. Oh, where's Coach Emile? Coach Emile isn't here. Because when a parent forms an attachment with you and they see a new coach, they might get a bit upset. So I had this preconceived idea, like everybody, when they see me not coaching, is going to not re-enroll anymore. We want Coach Emile. I had that belief, and it was kind of stopping me back because I was trying to expand, open up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday classes. I was trying to find coaches. I was doing it all, and it was quite overwhelming, especially if you're trying to scale your business. And then on top of that, what I was doing is when I did find coaches to run the class without me there, I literally had my phone, like the class was at 4 o'clock, it finished at 7. I had my phone next to me from 4 to 7, just in case any fires blew up. I don't know what I thought maybe something will happen at the venue and I'd have to run down there. And I even made my coaches after 7 o'clock call me after every single class, just letting me know how the classes went, if everything went good. So I'd stay there with my phone on the side. At 7 o'clock, I'd wait 7:05 for a call message. If the coach didn't call me at 7:05, what do you think I did? I'd be on the phone. Hey, Lachlan, what's happening? I didn't get a call from you. Is everything all good? Like, did the classes go all right? How are the parents? How are the kids? Everything. And when I think about it back then in 2018, like it was completely the wrong thing to do, but that's what I thought I had to do in order to kind of remove myself from the business. Right now, my area in Canterbury Bankstown, a lot of you guys have seen, like I've got somebody that handles the admin, somebody that handles the coaching side. I've got somebody Mary, to check in all the members. There's systems in place. But I want you to let you know, that was a little funny story that happened in 2018 that I was experiencing. I bet you guys probably didn't believe it, eh? Good times. So what I want to do, team, before we get into it, I want to do a little bit of a math exercise. Somebody introduced me to this concept a while ago, and it kind of opened my mind to scaling and making your business run without you. Now, I want to go back. Does anybody know what the average income in Australia is right now as of 2025? Any guesses? If you didn't see the next slide.
40,000?
40,000, Charles, maybe 10 years ago.
It's about 80, isn't it? It's about 80, 89.
Yeah, like so it's actually, it's $72,000. Like that's the average income right now in Australia. And guys, that's average, right? Average.
So we're talking about, we're talking about after the tax.
No, gross drop, yeah, gross. So this is gross. So obviously after tax, you're probably taking a little bit less. But the average income is $72,000. Now, what does this mean, guys? If we do an exercise on time, there's 46 weeks in a year, working weeks, okay? This is weeks that you work. There's 5 days a week. Let's assume that you're working 5 days a week for 46 weeks and you're doing 8 hours a day. You got Saturday and Sunday off. That's a very stock standard year. That gives you a total of 1,840 hours. Now, if you divide $72,000 by 1,840 hours that you're working per year, you get an hourly rate of $39.13. So on average in Australia, your hourly rate is $39.13 every time you work. Now that's averaged out. Some might be higher, some might be less. Now, I'm going to move on to the next slide to show why that is important. Did you guys think this was higher or less than what you kind of thought, average?
I thought it was less.
Less?
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Joe?
I was looking at something yesterday. I think average is about 92 now.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so if then that's even more. So that's 92. I was looking at stats too. It's a bit like some say 72, some say 90. But let's say on average 72, that's your hourly rate, guys, $39.13. Now, what does this mean? We need to ask ourselves for $39.13 per hour, okay, what tasks are going to bring you the most return on your time, okay? That's how you guys need to view it. And the first part of my presentation here is I'm just breaking a belief down or reconstructing what you guys think of an hourly rate. So for $39.13, what tasks are going to bring the most return? That's how you want to frame your thinking. You want to focus on high leverage, high value task. For example, locking in a school contract valued at $25,000 is a high leverage, high value task versus responding to an email about makeup classes. Low leverage task that doesn't yield any return on your time. That's the first part that I want to bring up. So remember, to summarize, average $39.13, we want to ask ourselves, high leverage, high value tasks. What can we get for that $39? And we want to avoid or delegate low leverage task like responding to your emails. We're going to go through that in a second. I want to take this time to have a quick pause. Guys, any questions so far? Is this kind of making sense so far? And do you have any comments before I move on to the next slide?
If I could say something, that's kind of what I thought is the mundane task
Yeah.
to delegate. But luckily, I've got B2B sales and marketing experience, so that's what actually I'm going to focus on.
Yep.
Contacting daycares, after school care, and locking in those contracts, and then I'm kind of relying on my wife to do the admin bit, and then maybe outsourcing it.
Yeah.
One day.
Yeah, for sure. And Charles, going back to you finding that venue, that's an example of a high leverage task. You securing a venue for a year, right? And potentially bringing a lot of revenue from reoccurring once you get your customer base. That's a great example of a high leverage, high value task versus responding to an email, hey, can I do a makeup class next week? So that's a perfect example that you're experiencing right now. Want to take this?
I did mention that to Greg. My task is high level stuff.
Yeah.
And my wife's task is the admin. So yeah.
For sure.
Venue, coaches, contracts, bringing in sales and marketing.
And the problem, Charles, and we're going to go over the problem. We're going to go over what the problem is. The problem is we focus too much on doing every single task. The fact is not every single task is equally important. There are certain tasks that's going to move the needle in your business more than other tasks. What we need to do as business owners is say, okay, these are low leverage tasks. I'm going to outsource or get somebody else to do these tasks. I'm going to focus on the high leverage tasks that's going to move the needle in my business. We're going to talk about what those tasks are in a bit. Great comment, Charles. Anyone else want to say anything before we move over to the next slide? All right, let's continue. Oh, Carla, you came off mute.
Yeah, how do you deal with... So the way that it's split with my husband and myself is that I do a lot of the admin business side and he's strictly on the courts.
Yes. Yeah.
So I need him sometimes to also be making decisions.
For sure.
How do you...
Carla, I struggled with that with my wife, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think just trying to encourage her to be a niner, but sometimes she tells me, Charles, you kind of have to treat me like an employee and guide me.
That's not my husband.
And that really frustrates me. Like, my expectation of my wife is really high. If she was just some staff, I'd understand that. So maybe Emile and Greg can answer that question.
That's I can actually speak volumes to that answer as well, because me personally, like, you guys have met Mary, right? She's also high up in the business and she's also my mother. So sometimes we can clash as well, the kind of the motherhood and the business side of things, right? Same thing with Gerard, who's my brother as well. Sometimes he does something that I don't agree with. And as a normal employee, you'd be like, well, you wouldn't do that if you're a normal employee. It's a problem that I have as well. I've also got Kimberly that's part of the business. I think at the end of I think what's helped me throughout the years is separating the two, like work's work, family's family, and to make sure that they don't intertwine. You don't want to bring work dilemma, work arguments or work stuff home on the dinner table. I try to separate the two and say, okay, this is our business window, this is our personal family window. And I put disciplines in place so that, like, if I'm having dinner, for example, and it's a Saturday night and I'm with Mary or Kimberly and they bring up something about the business, oh, did you hear that, guys? I'm enjoying my dinner. It's Saturday night. Let's leave it to Monday. So I put a couple of those disciplines in place. But it's an interesting one and it's a struggle, and you will always have the struggle, because when there's a personal relationship like, you're more inclined to voice your opinion versus if you had an employer, you'd probably question something you say before you say it because there's that work relationship. Greg, did you want to say anything on this?
The only thing I was going to say, I mean, in Little Boomers, I mean, it's pretty much, I come on and my wife does the financial side, but I have had a similar situation in the past where I owned a restaurant and my mum was partners in that, and we had a similar thing where we found we were always talking about work or doing that, so it is something where, again, we did set a rule, we don't talk about it at all outside. We got the things with that, we talked about it, and we also kind of set, I guess, clear boundaries where it was like, well, I was running the restaurant, so it's like it's my decisions. If you got something, we can talk about it outside, not in front of people, things like that as well. So that's important as well, especially if you are, say, on court or something and there's something that I don't agree, you kind of say, okay, that's fair, we'll talk about it separately.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Never do it in front of your staff or things like that.
Yeah.
That's always an important thing as well when you are working with family as well. And just, I guess sometimes setting that boundary of who's kind of the lead. So ultimately, it's I'll take your advice, but ultimately, one of you have to make the decision, I guess. Where it seems like, in your case, Carla, it will be you. In your case, Charles, it will be you. So it is one of those things where you do have to set those boundaries. As you kind of mentioned, Charles, where with your wife that you're like, I'll make these decisions and you do this stuff.
Yeah.
We agree. I am the lead, but she doesn't didn't tell what to do. That's my issue.
I have picked up on that.
I don't know, Joey, that happens with you and your wife, seriously.
So I think for Naomi and I, what we actually doing is breaking down the job responsibilities.
Yes.
So we want to understand what is involved in there, and we actually working based on our strength and weakness.
Yeah.
So she's got very good customer service skills, right? So customer queries or anything, we sort of focusing on her. Now, the other part is most of the high-level staff, say, for example, hiring coach, talking to them, training sessions, or payment side of things, the finance side of things. So that's what I sort of do at work. So I'm actually taking care of those. So at the moment, we're breaking down the whole responsibilities, and there will be some of them we're not both 100% sure. So those are the things we sort of really talk about. And then we have to find the ground where we're going to agree together. So the task she's got, I'm not going to go and judge her on those. That's going to be her responsibility. The thing I do, that's going to be my responsibility. So she's not going to jump on over this. So we need to have a very clear understanding of who's actually doing what.
Yeah.
So I think the best would be break it down. What are the responsibilities you have? And probably work step by step. It probably will give a better result in that way, so that you don't actually overlap each other.
Yeah, Joe, that's actually a really good suggestion. And I remember, I think about a year ago when Philip and Paul came into the business, they told me that they're kind of struggling with who does what, who responds to what. And an exercise that I gave them, you guys might find this monotonous, but I think if you spend 2 hours of your time, it's going to iron out all the problems. I said, guys, sit down in a table, go to a nice restaurant, get a nice big document, split it in half, your name, the other person's name, and list down in bullet points what each person is responsible. Every single task, responding to emails, finding coaches, training coaches, financing, put it down all on a document and look at it and say, do you agree? These are your responsibilities. Yes, I do. Or no, I don't really like that. Do you agree? Those are your responsibilities. Iron it all out. And then if any new ones come as you go along, you have a sit down chat, you figure out where it's going to go. Boom, you guys sign the bottom. And then that way there's a clear distinction of, hey, you're responsible for these things and I'm responsible for these things. It's about a 2-hour exercise. I think it's worthwhile. You were going to say something, Carla.
Yeah, well, my issue is I understand clearly what my responsibilities are, and so does he, right? But let's say, for example, on the court, his training or something has happened, right? And I'm busy being trained by Mary on something or having a conversation with Mary. He tells me 2 hours later about something on the court, not at the time. And I said, it's pretty difficult for you to raise this with me now that we've left. The situation's gone. And how am I to sort of raise this with Gerard or Mary or Bill? You need to tell me these things as they happen.
That sounds more like a communication thing, I would say. I think that's more of a communication, raising matters as they come up.
Yeah, right? So I said to him, you said the court is yours, right? And I'm your boss. You're telling me this 2 hours after. Your boss is telling you to tell me as it happens. So I can approach it in a manner that, that we can deal with it then and there. So now, until next week, we can't do anything. And you're sitting idle and you're going to irritate me with this with this what ifs or
Yeah.
if should we, and then at the end when we get closer, he's like, don't raise it, don't say anything, it's done,
Yeah.
it's finished.
I see your point. I see your point. I think, Carla, if you just, I think it's a communication thing. If you just raise it then and there, or if you write it down at the time and speak to Mary after the class finishes, I think you can mitigate all those rather than letting them simmer for a whole week. But look, I want to go into my next slide because that's going to answer a lot of your questions, guys. I want to summarize everything we've spoken about so far. So your hourly rate on average is $39.13 if you're getting paid 72 grand a year. We want to focus on high leverage, high value tasks, and we want to avoid low leverage tasks and delegate those. So team, in our business, a Little Boomers franchise, I boiled it down to 3 elements in our franchise that we need to remove ourselves from. And these are in order of importance, meaning you cannot go to number 2 until you've delegated number 1. You cannot go to number 3 until you've mastered number 2. So there's a reason why they are in this order. And there's 3 pillars in our business. Administration, that's the first one. That is the first stage that you want to remove yourself from. And this is a killer. And I'll give you a story about administration. When I started to build up 200-300 members, I had my mobile number 0422320492 connected. My goodness me, I was getting calls, text, makeup classes. And when I caught someone back like an hour after, they'll call me back at an obscene time at like 8 or 9 o'clock. And then some people I'd be playing phone tag for 5 days for, and my phone was blasting, messages, phones. That was becoming a really big burden. And because of that, if I'm focused on that, on the administration and getting through all the inquiries, you can't develop a coaching team. You can't. If you're so focused on administration, you can't put in the hours and time to develop a strong recruitment team that's going to scale your business. And if you can't get a good coaching, if you have no coaches and it's just you doing a one-man band, you're not going to be able to move to phase number 3, which is growing and expanding your franchise. So can you see here, guys, there's a pathway. The first thing you want to delegate is administration. That is a low leverage task. Then you want to move to coaching and development. And then the third one is growing and expanding your franchise. Those are the 3 rings that you want to go through. Now, with stage 1, administration, these are the type of tasks that encompass administration. Responding to inquiries, inbound phone calls, emails, makeup classes, preparing your certificates, contacting waitlists, following up on people. All of those can be delegated eventually for somebody else to do. And the most important thing here, guys, and this is, I can't stress this enough, is speed to lead. Have you guys heard of the phrase speed to lead? Yeah, it's something I'm a big advocate of. When an inquiry, and they did a study on this, when an inquiry comes through, if you get in touch with the customer within 60 seconds, now you're probably thinking that's impossible. I've got, like, for me, I can't do it myself because I've got 100 things to do, but I've got someone that gets in touch with leads within 60 seconds. If you get in touch with a lead within 60 seconds, there's like a 50x conversion chance versus 1 hour window, 24-hour window, 3 days window. So you want to try get in touch with contacts within 60 seconds, which is tough if you're doing it yourself because we all got family, we got kids, we got other stuff happening. But the first stage of removing yourself from the business is delegating or outsourcing the administration. Okay, makeup classes. Like when you think about it, if you're responding to an email, let's say you spend 2 hours of your day responding to emails and inquiries, and eventually when your franchise picks up, you will be spending that amount of time. That's $80, $40 times 2 on average, that's $80 of your time spent on responding to inquiries. So this is the first one. This is stage 1 administration. Now, some of you guys might not be ready yet. I mean, if you haven't launched a franchise, you're not ready for stage 1, but eventually as it picks up, you will be ready. You can outsource this, guys. Now, when you are ready, we do have Alyssa, who's one of the workers. She can outsource things and take care of all your administration work. She is full right now. We're not taking anybody yet because she's full right now at capacity. But we offer administration services. I think Greg may have mentioned to you, $500 a month, you buy back 12 and a half hours of your time for when you are ready. Because we want to make sure that if you outsource this, you got someone that's actually responding to them the right way and not saying, oh, I have a 6-year-old interested in, here's a Mighty Boomers program. So we got somebody that's trained to help you. But that's the first stage, team. that you want to try work on outsourcing, administration. Outsourcing all of those tedious tasks. I want to take this time to pause. Any questions about this slide before I move over to stage 2? Hey, just quickly, if you're enjoying today's episode, it will mean the world to me if you can leave a positive review or share it with a friend that may benefit from this. I've also put some bonus resources in the description, including a real franchise case study that you can download under our Franchise Success Blueprint. Hope you find it useful. Enjoy the rest of the episode and rock on. Adios. Awesome. Now, guys, as you can imagine, I am like you. I run a franchise. There's 450 kids in our area. Imagine how many people are asking for makeup classes, asking about siblings. Like if I did all of that, I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be on my emails responding to all of that stuff. So it does add up when you start to grow your franchise. Stage 2, once you have successfully delegated stage 1 and you have removed yourself from the day-to-day admin work, you're now ready for stage 2, which is coaching development. This involves interviewing, hiring, onboarding, training. I call this the on-court general, handling jerseys, handling complaints. This is all the coaching side of things, which is a big element of our business. And this is a stage where if you're too busy in the administration phase, you can't focus on developing your coaching team. And as a result, you can't move to stage number 3. So the best way to remove yourself from the coaching development is to hire a strong coach existing within your network and to elevate them to a part-time position, which is 20 hours a week. Eventually, once you're building revenue and you're building your customer base and you have multiple classes running, you're going to have a coach that's doing 3 or 4 days a week who's probably already doing 10 to 15 hours. My recommendation, once they've proven themselves, you promote them to a part-time contract where they're doing a minimum of 20 hours a week. They're your head coach, they're your senior coach, they're your leader. I think you pay them about 20 to 25K a year, which you're probably going to pay them 3/4 anyway if they're doing all the hours that they're already doing. And they're responsible for interviewing coaches, for onboarding, for training coaches, for holding your new coaches accountable to a high standard, handling out jerseys, handling out complaints. Now for me, my person that does that in my area is Mary. Mary and Kimberly. She does like all the members, handling the relationship. She's at all the classes. She connects with the members. She checks their needs. She handles complaints. She does all of that stuff to remove me from that side of the business. And believe me, it saves you a ton of time. But you can't go to stage 3 until you've got a strong coaching team and you've got a really strong head coach that's managing the team and interviewing candidates, growing your team, but also your on-court general that's taking care of all your classes. Now, most of the time, that's the franchisee. Greg, that's you right now. Greg, you're the coach. Like that'll be you for your area. And eventually, when you guys come into the network, this will be you. As you start to grow your revenue, this is the second thing that you want to alleviate yourself only once you've alleviated yourself from the administration, because that's going to allow you to focus on this section here. Second most important ring. I'm going to take this time to pause, guys. Any questions? I'm keen to get your thoughts on stage 2.
Just a quick one with this one again. Hiring a coach, so that's $20 a week. So are you suggesting instead of a subcontractor, we get someone like a part-time on a payroll?
What I'm suggesting, and this is how I would go about it, Joe, I would not bring somebody new as a part-time coach. That's too much risk for you.
Correct.
Eventually, like you're going to realize you're going to hire one coach as a contractor that's going to be a real gun, like an absolute gun. Probably most likely one of your first 2 coaches. Greg had Russell, who's an amazing candidate. As soon as this person has proven themselves and you're like, man, this is a great coach, you want to offer them a part-time position. Right? Once they've proven themselves. Now, it might not work. They might say, look, I've got university here. I've got another full-time job. It's not going to always work, but you're going to find 1 or 2 really strong coaches that you want to elevate to a part-time position eventually.
Right. Yeah.
And this stuff is all kind of down the track once you obviously have the numbers of enrollment. So I'd say, well, what number would you kind of say where this kind of comes into play now?
Look,
about 150, 200?
Yeah, when you're at that 150, remember guys, like for you right now, you don't go to stage 2, you go to stage 1, right? It does not make sense to do the administration work and to do the coaching development. You don't move to stage 2 until you move to stage 1. There's an order. But I would say as soon as you guys are making revenue, great reoccurring revenue, you'd get rid of stage 1 first. Here, I would say when you're at the 150 to 200 enrollment mark per term and you've got schools and daycares, you're now ready to move on to stage 2. For sure. And by the way, guys, I also want to mention, this 20 to 25K a year, if you have a coach that's doing 10 hours a week as a contractor on $30 an hour, which is stock standard, that is already covering about $15,000 a year if you're running a lot of classes. So it's not really a big bump, but you've got to keep in mind if they're a part-time contractor, they're entitled to benefits, sick leave, a little bit of holiday leave and all those other stuff. But in my opinion, getting that security is worth it.
That's good. Yes.
All right. I would say, Greg, you would be ready for this probably out of everyone soon. Once you've outsourced your admin work, this will probably be a stage that you'd be coming up to soon. Some of our franchisees like Paul and Philip, who's on about 400 enrollments, they should be looking at getting a part-time head coach because you'd be traveling to different classes every week. It's too much. Cool. All right, team. So you've managed to remove yourself and you've got head office doing admin work for you at $500 a month, which is a massive return on your investment. You now have hired a part-time coach to do that you're going to call your on-court general that handles all the on-court stuff. You're now ready to move to stage number 3 as a franchisee, and this is a growth and expansion stage. This is what I said before about the high leverage, high return on your tasks. Once you've got somebody that's taking care of admin work, somebody you can trust that's taking care of all of your on-court experience, you now move to stage 3, which is growth and expansion. This is where you, as a franchisee, and I'm at this phase, expand to new locations. You're finding new venues. You're opening up new classes. You're establishing rapport with new locations, like what you just did this week, Charles. You're focused on your high-level marketing campaigns, special promo offers that's going to drive clients and drive enrollments up, high-level stuff with marketing. You're now engaged in contacting schools, developing partnerships with school, landing 20, 25K contracts from schools. Those are your high leverage tasks that you as a franchise owner want to be focused on. But the catch-22 is you can't do this if you're so focused on admin work and if you're so focused on coaching and recruitment, because the reality of it is there's only a finite amount of time available throughout the day. If admin is chewing this, coaches is chewing this, you're not going to be able to scale your business. And what's going to happen is you're going to stay at that plateau mark, which is 150 enrollments, term after term after term after term after term after term, because you are still focusing on admin tasks, you're still responding. And we've got one of our franchisees going through this plateau phase at the moment. They had a massive spike. And then when you have a massive spike of enrollments, then there's a lot of admin work and you've got to go find locations, and then you get a plateau where and a coach leaves and now you're putting out this fire, you're trying to recruit a new coach because you can't expand to a new location until you find a new coach. And then you go to that plateau stage where you're averaging out 150 enrollments every single term. 2 years goes by, you're still on 150. What you want to be able to do is see what stage you're at, put a system in place, and then move on to the next stage. That's the key to unlocking stage 2, getting through those 2 stages before. I'm going to take this time, team, to pause. Guys, firstly, I want to get a bit of feedback. Are you finding this, I know you guys aren't at that level yet, but you will be eventually. Are you guys finding this useful so far, the information that I'm giving you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Joe?
Yes, it is. For me, I was actually thinking very similar things, but I wasn't really sure where do I stand at this stage. But sharing those ideas is really great. It clears our mind actually. So
Yeah.
this is really good. Yeah.
And guys, there's one other thing that could potentially stop you from doing this. So as business owners, and I've got, like, I used to have this problem early on, we want to do everything and we don't want to outsource anything because we don't want to pay the money. We say to ourselves, like, why do I need that? Like, I'll just take care of it myself. And you got to make sure that you don't fall prey for that limiting belief, because if you do, you're not going to be able to scale or remove yourself from the business. The whole purpose of this Zoom is to show you how you can scale and remove yourself from the business. If you continue to have that preconceived belief that all business owners have, I'll just take care of it myself. Why do I got to pay $500 a month for someone to respond? Like, I'll just do it. I'll just do that. I'll just do that. Like 2-3 years are going to go by and you're going to be in the same position that you were 2-3 years ago because you haven't managed to successfully remove yourself from the business. I'm talking to you not as a preacher, but because I was there in 2018 when I started the business. I couldn't expand to other classes because I was constantly putting out fires, trying to find a new coach, trying to deal with that. It wasn't until I did those processes, which is the administration, the coaching, development thing, that I was able to actually remove myself and say, wow, like things are growing, my enrollments are growing, parents are referring to others. I can now focus on school contract, daycare contract, that high level stuff. So just remember, there's a preconceived belief and just don't fall prey for that belief, like I'm going to save the money, like I'm just going to do it myself. Don't get me wrong. You're not going to do it. Like you wouldn't do this if you don't have the revenue coming in. You'll build the business to a certain level, then make that investment. But just don't have that mindset, which I see a lot, and I was once there. You were going to say something, Carla.
That you've given it in stages. You got to do this first, and then once you've been able to deal with the admin, then you move on to the next one. It's good to see it the way that you've put it out in step form like that.
Yeah, thank you, Carla. And that's like the first thing that I personally outsourced that brought me back like 5 hours a day was the administration. It is a freaking headache. I hate responding to emails. I hate responding to text messages. Like what I was doing, to be honest with you guys, I was at the end of my day, I responded to all emails. Now, there's a massive flaw and problem with that. If a parent sent me an inquiry at 9 a.m. and I don't get back to them till 4 p.m., I have potentially lost that customer, or she's not interested anymore, or she's gone and got another quote from another company, versus she sent an inquiry at 9 and somebody got back to her at 9:05. Like, I'm almost guaranteed to get that enrollment, right? I'm almost guaranteed. So that idea that I had where, you know what, I'll just respond to all my emails at the end of the day, goes against the idea of speed to lead and eventually affects your customer clientele. Also, if you have a fire that you need to put out, like let's say you get a fiery email from a parent, you know, which we get here and there, like during the class, this happened, If you get back to that parent 2 days later, like she's even more on top of, like, she's even more angrier versus if you got back to her that day and called her and say, hey, listen, look, it's sorry about this. We're going to fix it. We're going to fix it up. So when I got rid of that admin stuff, it freed up so much time for me to work on my coaches and build up your coaching team. So I'm glad you guys are finding it valued. Righto. Before we end with this, with a little quick FAQ, guys, I want to do a quick summary of everything we've spoken about. Then we can be on our long way for our Easter long weekend, except Joe, because he's working double time. All right, so remember, first thing, I want to start on the top right, and this is the biggest thing. You need to reconstruct the false belief that you need to do everything. That's the first one. Break that belief down as a business owner that you need to do everything and I'll do it just to save money, because it's hurting you, it's hurting your growth, and it's hurting your scale, hurting your scalability if you have that false belief. So break that belief out of you. Second thing, have a goal to work to a certain phase. For nearly everybody on this Zoom, it's going to be stage 1, which is outsourcing their administration. As soon as you start to get some great reoccurring revenue, the first investment you want to make is one of our head office support. Ali's not ready yet. I'm sure she'll be available later because she's at full capacity right now. Master stage 1, get rid of that administration. If that's your wife, a lot of us are doing the wife, that's great. So you guys can focus on the coaching, recruitment, and finding a location, and then you can have your wife or your partner take care of stage 1. Now, you don't want your partner doing emails forever, because I'm sure she'd love to get herself out of that as well. Once you've mastered stage 1, administration, move to stage 2. By then, you should have a really good coach that might be ready for a part-time position. Elevate them to a general, and they are in charge of everything on the court, handling complaints, giving out uniforms, and they make sure that they hold your new coaches accountable, not you. The head coach holds those new coaches accountable. And then finally, once you've delegated stage 2, which is about 150 to 200 enrollments per term, you then move to stage 3, which is you as the franchise owner focusing on the high level stuff, landing school contracts, expanding to new sites, landing daycare contracts, all of those high leveraged, high return on investment tasks. Team, appreciate you guys coming on. I want to ask you guys a question before I get some feedback. Do we have any questions about today that I can answer or Greg can answer? I'm all ears.
No.
Joe.
It's awesome.
From my side, I think I've got a question. So
Yes.
it's the stage one.
Yes.
So the administration outsource sort of thing. So because all of us here, except for you and Craig, you guys already have the experience to go through the stage one. We haven't. So I think it's going to be very valuable to give us a little bit of more understanding of the administration side of things. So say, for example, we haven't got any enrollment. So I don't know what kind of inquiries would come. So giving us a little bit of understanding where inquiry would come, examples like this, we probably would have a little bit of understanding. At the moment where I'm sitting at, in my mind, what I'm thinking is, okay, that's okay, inquiries will come and then Mary's going to answer or I can answer, but we probably don't have the understanding of the severity of it. So give us a probably a little bit of more context would help us.
Of course. So Joe, you're going to experience this soon. So I'll give you a little bit of an early warning of what you're going to experience. And if you're going to grow your franchise, which I know you're going to expand your franchise, you're going to experience all of these problems. But you got to understand, as you expand your franchise and you start to get that 100 to 200 enrollment mark, what you're going to notice is a lot of nitty gritty things in your area. Can I have a makeup class? I can't make Saturday. He's got a carnival on that day. Can I do Tuesday? Now you're probably thinking, yeah, that's easy. But try picture 200 enrollments and 10, 20 different people asking you this question, right? Like Edison and Doan the other day was telling me, man, makeup classes, everyone's asking me every second day, I'm sick, can I do a makeup class? That's going to chew up a lot of your time. Like little stuff like preparing your certificates, there's a bit of admin work to do that. Contacting your wait list. When somebody joins your wait list, calling them up and giving them an alternative class time, that's going to take a lot of your time. Responding to inquiries, right? Like new people wanting to come into your area. But it's essentially you're going to be split, Joe, between two things. Existing customers, like makeup classes, can I do this day? I'm not having a really good time. I haven't got my jersey yet. The size doesn't fit me. Hey, he's sick this week. Can I do that day? That's going to chew up a lot of your time. And then the other side is like new inquiries, new leads, new inbound phone calls, new type of things as well. And then you're going to find yourself really split between those two. That's probably where the administration heavy. Now, you're not going to feel that less than 100 enrollments. You probably won't feel that as heavy. You'll start to feel that beyond the 100 enrollment per term mark. You'll be like man, my phone keeps coming off. Like, this is crazy. You know what I mean? And then that's when you'll be time and ready for stage one. Did that answer your question?
It does. So also just a follow-up question on this. Say for example, customer querying about the makeup classes or the jerseys or things, we would really need to be involved. So the admin, would that just forward that email to us, or they would be arranging that makeup class for us? Say for example, just one instance.
Yeah, so great question. So what you can do is Greg's got access to our administration training guide. So when you are ready, Joe, we've got an agreement form that shows you what the administration team member does and what you need to do, right? So there's a clear distinction, a little bit like we were talking about earlier on. There's a clear distinction of what they're going to answer and what you're going to have to do. Like if they get a complaint about a coach, they're not responsible for that. They forward you that inquiry. So when you are ready, Greg will go over the kind of, we call it like an agreement form. Like, okay, this is what they're going to do. This is how many hours they're going to be able to do all of these tasks, but this is what they're going to forward you if they arise. That way we don't have that problem. Hey, I thought that Alyssa was going to do this. Like, why am I responding to this? We'd make sure we'd go over all those details.
Right, yeah, that's exactly what I'm actually looking for. Like, who's responsible for what part? Yeah.
For sure. What's this? Okay. Guys, I really appreciate you guys jumping on. I want to get your feedback. What did we think of this Zoom? is the first question I want to ask you, and I'm going to ask each of us individually. What did we think of this Zoom? If we could rate it out of 10, what would it be? And do we want to see more of these optional kind of opt-in Zooms? I'm going to start with you, Charles.
Yeah, 10 and yeah, keen to learn.
Beautiful. So you enjoyed it, Charles?
Yeah,
What did you find the most valuable part out of the whole presentation?
just enforcing that as business owners, we need to start working on the business, not in the business.
Good, good. That's the messaging. That's the whole messaging behind this. Carla, your turn.
Pretty much what Charles mentioned as well. And clearly, I need communication, better communication with my husband, because my mentality on what we were doing and how we would approach it is perhaps different to what his expectation is. So, yes.
Awesome. Joe?
It's actually really good, Emile. I could give it 11 out of 10, to be honest. Like, it sort of solves a couple of questions I already had before in my mind. Like, Marian, we were talking about, should we go to childcare now, or should we go to school now,
Yeah.
or where do we go now? So it's sort of broken it down to go to 1 and 2, and then move on to 3.
Yes.
So sort of the confusion is gone now.
Yes.
So now I clearly see what I really need to do, where really the focus should be. So it's
and
really
the numbers that you also provided us, like you can't go here until your enrollments
Right.
have reached this certain number.
Yeah.
That's very insightful. That's very helpful.
Right.
Good.
As well. But I had a conversation like this with Greg yesterday in terms of what if all these venues that I've inquired about all come back to me and say we're available, and then I was like, do I open classes? And each of these venues are like 5 to 6 kilometers from each other. I'll be shooting myself in the foot. So yeah, so it's sort of it stems off my conversation with Greg yesterday, which is really timely, which is really good. Thank you.
Can I add my 2 cents to that question, Carla? Which out of 2 problems, which would you rather have? The first problem is you've got too many venues and you've overcommitted yourself, and you've got too many venues and you have to cancel back, or you've got no venues and you're finding it hard to scale. Which one of those 2 problems would you rather have?
What do you mean hard to scale?
So so problem number 1 is too many venues have gotten back to you and said yes, and as a result, you've overcommitted yourself. Problem number 2 is there is no venues available. You're struggling to find venues, and as a result, it's hard to expand your business.
Oh, the first one.
100%. So this is how I see it. There's two challenges in our business: limited court space, coaches availability. Those are your 2 demons of the Little Boomers and every kid's sports franchise. You can call them demons if you want. Limited court space and coaches availability. If you have a venue that can get back to you and they're a great venue and they can book in for a year, book them in without thinking and worry about the coach problem later. And like, this might sound stupid, but if you have to book them in for a term, but you're not ready yet and you have to pay the hourly rate, it is worth the couple $100 to keep you there on that Saturday versus not having that venue at all. Because the number one problem that is stopping franchisees from growing is limited court space. Pre-book all of your court space in a year's advance. Have your new locations ready to go, because it's a challenging hurdle. And if you have to book something just for the sake of booking it, because they say if you guys don't commit to us now, we're going to have to give it to someone, just put the couple of $100 down, because believe me, that money is a return on investment, because I know how hard venue space is. It's the thing all the franchisees say. I just want to put...
because I was thinking, oh, do I start at the same time? But now you're saying lock in the venue, regardless if you're going to use it right now or not, because you will eventually need that, and that's very helpful.
Carla,
I was putting too much pressure, thinking, oh, I need all these coaches now, and I need to be in 2 places. Eddie and I need to be in 2 places at one time because we're going to open and launch all at the same time. But yeah, that
We-
makes sense. So simple, but
Ca-
like really helpful.
like Carla, like just
Sorry guys, I've got to head off.
See-
I'll see you guys next time.
we'll let you go. See you,
Okay.
Charles. Thanks for tuning in. Carla, I just want to say this. Like sometimes a franchisee will like find a new venue, but not open up classes at that venue because they need to find coaches first. Like with the limited space in venues, just book the venue in. What are we in now? We're in term 2. Let's say you find a really good venue. Book the venue in for term 4 for 3 hours on a Saturday, and then just reverse engineer and get the coaches ready, because that venue is a ticking time bomb for somebody else taking it, literally. And I remember Edison, this is like a great example. Edison and Diane, franchise owners of Campbelltown, we found this great venue in Edmondson Park. It was like a hidden gem. It's a high school that had 2 full court basketball courts and nobody was renting it. And they were saying, yeah, we can give it to you for what days? Fast track 6 months. It's obviously on our website, and competitors would go on our website to see, what venues we're in. Now he can't get another day in there. It's gone. It's finished. There's Ready, Steady, Go. There's little kickers. He can't get any other days in there. And that was only 8-9 months because people caught on that school can hire out, and now it's gone. You can't get any space. So you want to be quick, prompt, fast.
Yeah.
Greg, did you find this valuable?
Yeah. No, it was really good when I jumped on just to kind of have a look at it as well. And yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Greg, if any of the franchisees like Joachim, Charles, or anyone has questions, you can help them out now with the implementation. If they want to look at implementing stage 1, or if they have any questions, you'll be their point of contact just to help them maybe with any of the implementations that they get.
Yep.
Cool?
Sure.
Alrighty, guys, I'm going to let everyone go. Hey,
Thank
again,
you.
I appreciate your time. Hope you guys have a great Easter break, and I'm excited for the launches of all of our franchises.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.